Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do a snow base. I'm going to do two examples. I'm going to do like just a generic plain snow base, and I'm also going to give you an example on how to do it around some terrain in case you want to theme it a little bit more. Now this is the kind of snow base which I'm going to be aiming to teach you. You can see in this one it is more themed. It's got some shells at the bottom, some snow and stuff like that. So this is what we're going to try and teach and show off, and hopefully you can get a feeling of how to make it, and then you can go on and make your own little snowy base army. I get a lot of questions on how to do this, what paint you need and stuff like that. It's very, very simple. So if we just move the bases out the way for a second, you actually only need 4 sets of paint, and the main one is this. This is Astro Granite Debris. This is the main chunk of paint which goes down. It's a texture paint. It gives it that nice, awesome kind of rubble-esque type feeling. Next, of course, we need some shade, and Avgrax Earth Shade is the king of shades, if you don't know already. After that, we need to do a little dry brush, and the best dry brush that I use for this, which works out the best, is Tyrant Skull. And finally, of course, we need some snow. And the snow that I use is Valhallan Blizzard. Again, this is another texture paint from GW. So what I'll do now, I'll cut the video and we'll start putting some snow on our plain base, and I'll just show you the technique that I use. It's really, really simple, really, really fast, and yeah, anyone can do it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with the Astro Granite Debris. So I've got a little tool for this. This was my girlfriend's makeup tool. Don't tell her about it at all. And you can see the one side is Astro Granite, and the other side is the Valhallan Blizzard that I've been using to scoop on. I actually use these because it's really nice to get inside this bowl, because you can see here, putting a paintbrush in here will probably ruin your paintbrush. So what I do, I'll scrape some of this out. I'm actually on my last couple of boxes of this, plus put that to one side. And all I do is I just get the paintbrush like this. I just get the base like this, and I just plaster it on. I just get a nice little effect over it everywhere. It's like buttering your base, more or less. Just butter your base. Butter it all over, get that nice consistency of it all over, because you don't want any black to peek through. If black does peek through, we'll sort that out later on, but get that over, and then you have that nice kind of consistency. And then all you do, what I tend to do is scrape it off like that, and then just dab it. Just dab it all over, and then once that dries, it will give a nice textured base. You don't want to go too lumpy. I always find if you do too lumpy, then your base looks too thick at the bottom. So you want it nice and thin, just with a little bit of texture on there. If you can see there now, more or less the texture of the plastic base gives it that texture. And of course, with the Astro Granite, you get a couple of lumps in there and stuff like that. You don't want to, again, you don't want to go too overboard, and you don't want to make it too lumpy. That's perfect. That gives us a nice little debris kind of effect. If I do it like that, you can see like how thick it is. It's not really that thick at all. It's just on there, and it's just perfect, just like that. So what we'll do, we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll go on to the next stage. And while it's drying now, I'll go over and I'll do the theme base, and I'll show you that in the next stage as well, once that's all dry. Okay, so on to the next stage, and as you can see, I've got the two bases now which have been done. If we just start with this base, which this is just the general plain one. It's all hard now, all solid. One of the ways you can check if you want to go into the next stage is just tap it. Just tap it. If it's solid, then you're good to go. If it's still a bit soft, just leave it, let it dry, because you really need to let it dry for the next stage, which is the shading stage. Again, with this one, this is the theme base we did. I went round, put it all there, little lumps up and down. It doesn't really matter around this bit. You can actually make this one a bit lumpy, because the model itself is going to be standing actually on the so-called concrete of the plastic on this theme base. You can see I've got like a little bit on the model over here, but that doesn't matter. We can fix that when we come to do the snowy bits, which is the last stage of doing the models. So next stage, what do we do next? It is the glorious Shading stage, Avgrax Earthshade. This is like the nectar of the gods to me. So if we just put the theme one over there for a second. And now what you want to do with this Avgrax, if you want to be very, very generous, and I mean very, very generous with putting a lot of Avgrax on this. So I'm just going to dip my big paintbrush into here, and I'm basically just going to dab it all over. Like, I want a lot, a hell of a lot on this. You'll see like how much I actually put on this now. Like, I actually want it to go everywhere. I want it to really get between everything. So be very, very generous at this stage with your Avgrax. You want to get it between all the little cracks and stuff. So I say cracks, all the little bumps and stuff, so it gives it definition. Definition. This is the only time you'll hear me say let this pool in the flat areas, so it gives the higher bits a bit more definition. So there we go. That is the next stage. We're just going to let that dry. I'm going to do the same to the theme base, and then we'll be back for the next bit. So that is this is part 2. So we've now got the Avgrax shade on. And we are back. Everything is now dried. You can see this now, all nicely dried. You can see how dark it's actually gone. It was very, very light before. That's what we want. We want it to be that dark. Just like this base over here, we want it to be really, really, really dark. Because when we do the dry brushing, which is the next stage, that picks out all the little top details, and it does have more depth to the model. So let's jump in and let's do some dry brushing. Now what I'm going to be doing for the... Oh, just dropped it. Let's do that again. So what I'm going to be doing for the dry brushing, I'm going to be using Tyrant Skull. Tyrant Skull is the dry brushing. I'm going to be using a dry brush, for those of you who don't know what a dry brush is. And I'm also going to be using a dry brush technique, which is dry brushing. Oh, who would have thought it? So what you do with this, for those of you who don't know, get some tissue, get your paint, open your paint. I'm just going to open it off the camera here because the camera's really low. I'm just going to just dab it in like that. That's a bit too much. Oh, sorry, just knocked the camera. Got to get that off there, and there's loads of paint on my brush there now. I don't want that. I don't want all that paint on my brush. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get as much paint off the brush as possible. I hardly want any paint on the brush. I just actually got some on my finger there. So you really want to like get all the paint off. I actually put a bit too much on, excuse this. Right, so that's off the brush there. So what we do now, we simply just get this and we just drag it over. Just drag it over. That's a bit too much. There we go. Just drag it over all the different directions, capture all the top bit of that, just like so. There we go. And that's what you finish with right there. If I just blow it off camera here like that, you can see now that it gives some definition to the base. The high bits have got the Tyrant Skull on it, and when you do it with the frost and the Tyrant Skull, it actually makes it look like a bit frosty as well. I know that doesn't make sense at the moment, but once we put the snow on and we do this other technique with the snow, you'll see what I mean. But that's what you get so far. Again, that's what it looks like from that angle. Not too thick. Looks easy enough. Just an easy dry brush on that one. Right, give me a second again. I'm going to go off. I'm going to do it to the nice theme base, and then we'll come back and we'll do the last stage, which is of course the snow. So give me 1 second. Okay, so we are once again back. So this is the dry layer on, the dry brush technique on this base. You can see here it's brought the highlights out. Sorry, not the highlights. It's dry brushed the bits, and it's give it some definition. It looks nice now. It looks like it's very concrete and very like war torn and stuff like that. I actually do like doing this with the theme bases more, especially with rubble and stuff, because it actually really brings the actual rubble out on the bases. And this one, once again, this is what this one looks like once it's all done with a dry brush on it. And the next stage now is simpler adding the snow onto it. And the snow that we're going to be using, like I mentioned at the start, is the Valhallan Blizzard. This is another texture paint, but we're not going to go in as much as we did with the first stage with the Agronite debris. We're just going to put just a little bit on. You can go overboard if you want like full-on snow bases, you can do. But with me, I just like to dab it on and have like that kind of industrial kind of Stalingrad war-torn kind of feel where there's snow and debris all mixed around the base. So what we're going to do with this again, I'm just going to give it a quick shake. I'm going to open it just like that. And with my little special rod tool, I'm just going to put this in just like that. And I'm not going to put a lot on. I'm just going to put just about that much on. Just now, maybe just a little corner bit there. Just there like that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the excess back in there like that. And then we're going to move to the next stage, which is getting a brush. Now, I recommend doing this with an old brush. Don't do this with a new brush. Just get one of your old crappy brushes around and just get some of the big bits and just dab it around the base a bit like this. Just dab it a little bit around the base. You want some chunks to fall in different areas, but you want like that kind of frosted effect on the base. Like, you know, there is a lot of snow around. So, for example, if we leave that one like that and we let it dry like that, and that should turn out pretty well. Do you know what? I'll probably put another chunk on it somewhere. So it looks like snow's building somewhere. So I'll just go back to my bowl just to get that out. And we'll put another chunk just here. Just like that. Just like that. So it looks like a bit more textured actually on the base when it comes to it. Just wipe the excess off if anything gets on the rim. And again, we can do exactly the same. Just put this to one side. We can do exactly the same with the theme base. Now with theme bases like this, I tend to put a little bit more around the rocky areas so I can hide some of the, you know, like I mentioned at the start when some of the granite got onto some of the stone and stuff. So I just put like a big little chunk on like that. And what I do, I just start to work it around some of the base like that. Put it on a bit like this. Put it on a bit over. You can put it on like on some of the concrete. Like, of course, it's frosted onto the concrete and stuff. So, you know, all the way around. I'm sorry if I keep going off with my camera angle a bit. This is the first time I've done this new camera setup, and it is very, very strange. So just give me a second, I'll finish this off and then we'll BRB. And here we have the, well, I say finished product. We're actually going to do a little bit more to this just in a second, but that's what it looks like now once the snow's on. Of course, when you have your model on, it'll contrast it up a little bit more. I always suggest models with, like, for example, my yellow works really, really well with white because the contrast of the both models, it just suits it so much. So that's why I'm doing my full Last War Protocol force as all snowy bases. If we move on to this one, you can see how I've gone around with this one, and just added the snow on, you know, right around all the rocks and stuff like that. You can see the skull in the middle, the shells and stuff. So once my guy actually goes on there, it'll make a awesome themed little snow base. Like I said, you can go one step further with this and add some of these tufts. Now, these are the ones that I've been using. I got these off eBay. I just searched snow tufts. So for those of you who know how tufts work, these ones have already got like a pre-stick on them. So they're very, very cool. So all you do is just go on and just stick it on like that. Move it around, and it just adds a little bit more character to the base. Like, there we go. You've just got a nice little bit of frosted grass or something that's growing out of the debris. If we get the theme one and we get another bit of tuff on, and I don't know, let's put it there near the debris. Just put it out a little bit. That adds a little bit more theme then to the theme base, and I think it looks really, really nice. So yeah, there we go. That is how I do my snowy bases. I know a lot of people have been asking me, Safarak, how do you do snowy bases? That's it. It's that simple as how I do it. Nothing special, nothing mind blowing at all. 4 paints. The 4 paints once again are in order. The Astro Granite. Then we go to the Avgrak Shade, then we do the Tyrant Skull Dry Brush, and then we move on to the final stage, which is, of course, the Valhallan Blizzard. And this is what you end up with. That's it. That's all that happens, guys. Right, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts, feedback, anything like that down below in the video. Again, sorry, this is like the first time I'm recording with this setup, this new setup. I still need to get used to it. If it's not, I don't think it's working out that great, really. I think I may need to change it up again. But I just thought I'd do this just for the end of the year. A nice little Christmassy base for Christmas time. I know it's past Christmas now, but hey, it's still the theme of Christmas and snow and all that kind of things. Right, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. See you now. Enjoy the end of the year. Have a great one. And bye-bye. See ya. Bye-bye.